Welcome to Tyrompers No Limit Podcast.
What is going on, you blessed, beautiful boys and girls? Thank you so much for joining Tyrompers No Limit Podcast. This is episode number 37. We are always fired up, but we got two reasons to be fired up today, guys. We got these two men that are shredded champions in every sense of the word. These are two men that both recently have been married. Congrats, Mitch and Claire. And recently found the L word love. Congrats, Matt and Mackenzie, one of our former guests. These are two men that own companies. I've worked with the GOAT, Zach Homol at Iron Valley. I cannot wait to hear their stories. As you guys can see, they have the greatest mustaches in the history of our podcast, too. We are so fired up. Welcome to the pod, Mitch and Matt Moore. Thank you guys for coming on, man.
Thank you for the opportunity, Ty. It's such a blessing, bro.
Dude, I love you guys so much, man. We've connected so much on Twitter. Can we maybe just get some background of who you guys are? Maybe we'll start with Mitch, kind of give us a rundown who you guys are, what you're about. I know you guys are brothers and obviously pretty close, but I can't wait to get to know more about your story today.
Yeah, absolutely. So as most of the Twitter world may already know, I'm a financial planner. I just started my own business about 8 months ago. Before that, I worked for one of the larger financial services firms, Charles Schwab. And it just really wasn't for me. And I knew going into it, it really wasn't for me, but it was just a matter of when I would be able to start my own business, not if. And so I'm finally able to live the dream day to day. But yeah, I went to school primarily at Indiana University. I bounced around and transferred to different colleges. But school, when I was growing up, college was like the next best step for me. Not too many people in my college or in my family had been to school. So it's just kind of the natural expectation. So that's where I went. But I know Twitter doesn't like college. So I'll own up to it that I do have my 4-year degree. Indiana. We grew up in southern Indiana, Seymour. Probably no one has heard of it. It's really only known for two things: the large high school basketball gym. It's the biggest in the country. And so everybody loves it, Indiana high school basketball, but our basketball team sucked. But we won't talk about that much more. And also John Mellencamp. John Mellencamp is from Seymour. That's kind of the Seymour claim to fame. But grew up in Southern Indiana. I went to school at Indiana University in Bloomington, and then moved up to Indy to join IVB, as you mentioned before, Iron Valley Barbell. And the rest is history, man.
I appreciate that, Mitch. Mitch is also the most shredded financial advisor in the history of financial advisors, I believe. I love that your pick on Twitter is just you being shredded too, not like some dude in a suit. That's my favorite, man. All right, we got Matt down there, the legend. I've gotten to meet Matt and train with him here in Vegas. That was one of the best days of my life, man. You're a champ, dude. I love you, bro. Give the people an introduction, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. And first off, dude, I just want to say, meeting you in person, you are exactly what you are online. Everybody questions that, I feel like, but it's the truth. So anybody listening to this, it's true. But introduction on myself, Mitch going to school, becoming this finance guy, kind of set me up on the path where my parents had these high expectations of, you got to go to school, you got to get the degree. Our golden child, Mitch over here, he did it. So I decided to be rebellious and do the exact opposite of what Mitch did. So it was really because of COVID. So, I played baseball my entire life. Baseball was a big deal. I planned on playing college baseball. That was the goal. That was the dream. And senior season got completely canceled in 2020 because of COVID. So I never got to step on the field my senior year, never got to experience that. So I wasn't happy with the college routes that I had baseball wise, the offers or anything. There was really not much that I had to deal with there. So I just chalked it all up. And then next thing you know, I was lost. Like, what am I going to do now? College didn't feel right. Nothing else really felt right. So I had the conversation with Mitch a lot. What do I do now? And he was like, I think you should come up here to Indy, move in with me, go to school part-time and work part-time and try to figure this thing out. So I moved up and I actually decided no school. I was like, I don't want to go to school. And that was a huge hit to my parents. They did not like that. They were not big advocates of that. But so I moved up, got your basic office 9 to 5 that Twitter also seems to hate. And I also joined Iron Valley. And then through that community and then meeting Zach, ultimately led me to now starting my own and having my own online training business. So crazy road. Obviously there's a lot of holes in there, but it's been wild to kind of defy the odds, not go to college and break that mold that society puts you in. And then now having my own business at such a young age, a lot of people are, just astonished by that. And it's something that, I struggle to be proud of myself, but, kind of sitting here reflecting right now, I'm proud of what I've done at such a young age.
That's so awesome, man. I appreciate both you guys sharing. I think this is what this show's doing. And we joke about it on Twitter because people get so like they'll die on these weird hills of like, you're an idiot if you ever go to college. It works for some people and it doesn't for others. I think we can all maybe agree and take a step back that, hey, Matt, you're super successful doing what you've done in that path you took. Hey, Mitch, you're equally as successful and have done, with that path that you took. I really want to know more about, I guess, Matt, I do want to mention, because I'm laughing to myself when you said you disappointed your parents and the golden child and stuff. I'll never forget driving home from college my second year and telling my mom, yeah, I dropped out. I'm not going anymore. I'm playing poker. And my mom's jaw just like hit the floor, and I really disappointed them, I think, for a year or so with that too. So I can relate to a lot of that, man. But you got to find your own path and what works for you. But I want to get more into growing up with you two. Now, are you two the only two in the family, or were there more siblings?
Yeah, so we're the only two full brothers. We do have step siblings and half siblings now, but for most of our life, it was just us two. Our parents got divorced when I was 16, or maybe I just turned 17, and he was would have been 12 or in around sixth grade at that time. So it's been mostly us growing up, but now we have added some younger half and step siblings to the mix as well.
That's cool. And it seems like Mitch, even just from hearing that intro a little bit and hearing Matt talk about it, how, hey, when he was kind of at that place in life where he didn't know where to turn to, he turns to you, as that big bro, that guy he can lean on. Hey, just invite him in, come move with me. We'll figure this out together. Have you guys always had that relationship growing up, or was it kind of like a rivalry kind of relationship? Or can you kind of tell us about that, like what it was like growing up as you guys were brothers?
Sure. Yeah, I'll let him share from his perspective what it was like, and then I can fill in where I may have viewed things differently.
Growing up, I wanted to do everything that Mitch was doing. He's really ultimately always been my hero. Everybody talks about having a hero, having somebody they look up to, and he's been the guy. He's kind of trailblazed, whether it's getting the hand-me-down clothes or doing the opportunities. Parents, I feel like on their first kid, they're trying to figure things out. I'm not a parent. I don't understand, but I feel like they're trying to figure things out. I feel like they kind of figured it out, test dummied Mitch, and then had a better ride for me. So he's kind of been the rat in the race that's let me just follow along. He's paved the trail. He went all in on baseball. I decided I'm going to go all in on baseball. Like I just always wanted to be like him. So I'd say we've been best friends, hand in hand ever since. And definitely have had our battles. We butted heads a lot. We fought a lot, but it was always just that brotherly love. It was never like, oh, I resent you or anything like that. It was just two brothers fighting.
And that's typical boys. I already see with my boys that are 22 and 20 months, man. They hadn't seen each other for 5 days recently, and they came back, gave each other this massive hug. They're playing together. Me and my wife are like, oh, we take a couple pictures. 5 minutes later, they're fighting over a toy. They're wrestling. They're pushing each other down. But then they're best buddies again. And is that kind of how you guys' relationship was? That's just kind of how guys are in general. I feel like we can give a diggity. Even Matt, when we're working out, we're giving somebody a hard time. Those pull-ups aren't full script, but then we're loving on them after. That's just kind of how guys are,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Mitch, what's your perspective on it, man?
Yeah, I mean, we've always been close. Obviously, I always said that I wish we were twins so we could have gone through life together. But he's 5 years younger than I am. I just turned 25, and he'll turn 20 here in a few weeks. But yeah, we've always been close. Whether from his playing out in the front yard, we always loved playing sports together. And I always won, of course, being the older, stronger brother. And he never liked that. So he would always try to fight back in any way that he could, and that would get us into our battles. But like you said, it was next minute we could put it aside, and we were best friends playing PlayStation together or whatever it was growing up. And then as I got older and started to go into different stages of life than he was, being in high school, it's not always cool to hang out with your little brother at that point, or we just have different priorities in life. Now that I was becoming an adult and he wasn't, and I always tried to push him because, like he said, I was the kind of guinea pig for my parents and just trying things out in life. And I saw what worked and what didn't work, and then I saw what I could have done differently to have a better result. And so I always tried to push him, whether it was in the gym. I had him in the gym at 11, 12 years old, trying to force him to work out at the gym every day, forcing him to put in extra reps at baseball practice, whatever it was. And him being the younger brother will always push back, always push back. And once I went off to college, kind of took a step back and trying to push him and make him, force him to grow. I mean, he was a young kid, obviously he doesn't see the importance of, hitting the gym every single day and putting in extra work at 11, 12 years old. They just want to go play with their friends. So as I transitioned to a different stage of life, I won't say we kind of like separated from each other. We still talk like every single day, but it was less of like me trying to push him. It was more of just we're just on our own path, doing our own thing. And then once he mentioned the whole COVID story, canceling his senior baseball season and whatnot, that really gave me a chance to kind of step back in as the leader that I wanted to be in his life and kind of help guide him, as best that I could. I don't have everything figured out, but I only want the best for him. So we've had our ups and downs, like you said, but ultimately we're very, very close.
That's awesome. And Mitch, can I ask, did you during COVID too, is that when you transitioned, or did the business come after that? You starting your own business. Did that have something to do with it though, when COVID hit and whatnot?
Not really. So I graduated college in December of 2019. So that was before, everything happened, everything shut down. And I knew I wanted to move to Indy because, I'd been following Zach on social media for, since I was in high school. So like over 5 years before he ever even lived in Indy or started IVB. Just following through him, knew I wanted to go to Indy. And so I moved up there January of 2020, got a job at Schwab, like I mentioned. And then everything shut down a few months later. So what COVID didn't really have too much of an impact on me, wanting to start my own business. Like I said before, I knew I wanted to do that. It was just a matter of when, not if. And it certainly didn't help though, having COVID going on while trying to work in an office, because the restrictions, I guess, or the rules became twice as much as what they would normally be, and that may have forced me out a little earlier than I would have been. So
I think it nudged me a little bit too, where I was like, I'm not wearing a mask for 10 hours a day, man. I just can't do that. I got to figure out a way to get out of this, man. But I love the fact that both, Matt, you're only 19. I didn't even know that, brother. And, to have a successful business and be thriving. And then Mitch at 25, a lot of 19 and 25-year-olds, let's be honest, are, dude, what I was doing at 25 was, my wife's in the other room, but I hope she doesn't hear that. I'm chasing girls at nightclubs, man. I was not doing the things that I needed to do, and how do you guys feel like you've come to this point at such a young spot in life where you're pretty laser focused on what matters, right? Like you guys are very strong physically, right? You sound minds, good finances, good relationships, all these things that everybody wants to get and attain. But most people in their 20s or even pre-20s are nowhere near these things. But when I look at you two men, I learn from you guys, man, all the time. And I admire you guys, and you're, 15, 18 years younger than me. What do you think attributes to that kind of growing up early and a lot of your success? And then a two-part question: do you ever get pushback from friends and other people that are your age that are kind of, live a little, or, that sort of thing?
Yeah. I think the number one thing that attributes was ultimately our parents' divorce, and I've found and throughout my life and all the clients that I've really connected with and talked with is the biggest struggle that we've had in our life is usually like the biggest thing that shaped us into what we are. And I think our parents divorced, it happening at such a young age for me, 11. And, I know Mitch grazed over it, but he was 16, 17 at the time. He just got his license, was in high school. He's trying to figure things out. Our parents get divorced. Next thing you know, he's driving me to baseball practices and tournaments and things like that. He kind of had to grow up fast because I needed someone. So I think that's how he really grew up fast. And then I think his leadership role that he's took with me, I think once he went to college and I was kind of on my own, like he said, we took a step back. I think that's when I kind of found myself who I was versus just following Mitch. I think I stepped into my kind of role, my personality of this is who I am. I have my own thing aside from just being Mitch's younger brother. Cause teachers were always calling me Mitch, things like that. It's not like I ever had this oh, I'm not just Mitch's younger brother. Stop calling me that. But because I loved it, I feel like a brother is a part of my identity and who I am. And I love that role. But I really found who I was. And then, as he came back in as a leader, it was just like, hey, we're getting things done. And then I feel like college, a lot of kids my age use college as a way to go for 4 years with zero responsibility. Like I would love to go sit and party and have zero responsibility for the next 4 years, but I feel like
and you can just tell them, hey, I want another 20K, and you just use it to party and those give it to you,
exactly. So I feel like that since I didn't choose that route, it put me in an environment of people that were much older and much more mature. And it forced me to step up to the plate with these opportunities or, just don't and be stuck where you are, be stuck not knowing and lost. And so I think our parents' divorce was the number one catalyst for that.
Wow. I love how you said that opportunity, kind of the hard thing became the opportunity, right? The challenge became the opportunity. I love how you said a lot of your clients see that too. I see that the same in my own life and with other people I talk to. In fact, did a walk with a client right before I hopped on this, and he was saying the same thing. The lowest point in his life, he's now so grateful for, which was 6-7 months ago, because it's caused him now to hit that rock bottom and say, I ain't going there anymore. I'm going to grow through this. And for you guys to be young, and Mitch, kudos to you, man, because being 16, 17, I don't think I would have handled it probably the same way, but it sounds like you had a really mature approach. And what do you think attributed to that?
Honestly, it's a good question. I don't necessarily have a specific answer to what contributed to that. I mean, when my parents got divorced, it wasn't, I don't think there's any good divorces, but it wasn't the best. They couldn't even really communicate with each other without a fight ensuing. And so I really became the mediator and someone who had to do the communicating between both sides and also be the advocate for my brother and in the situation and try to protect him and just have that sense of comfort for him during that time. And I don't know what it was that drove me to mature through that, because I mean, that's a pivotal time in my life, and to have something like that happen, you can really go one of two ways. You can choose to take responsibility, and that's really when I dove into self-development, where I could have gone the other path of out drinking, doing drugs, whatever it was, because I didn't have a good experience at home. So
victimhood.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been somebody that was like, people would always say mature beyond my years. I don't know what necessarily contributed to that. Maybe it's just my laid back personality. Not super outgoing. I've always just been very laid back, but yeah, I'm not sure exactly what made me choose that path, but I knew that at that point, ultimately in life, that I was only in control of myself. And I wanted to make sure that my life was way better than what I was experiencing in that moment. And I knew that I couldn't control others. So I just really dove in on, what I could do to make my life the best that it could possibly be at that point.
And that's super. I'm getting chills as you say that. It's super powerful, man, because I think, anybody out there listening too that might not be in a spot in life where they want, or maybe life has knocked them down in some kind of way, right? And it's you mentioning that you alone have the power to choose, and you can't control these outside forces, and oftentimes in life, I think it's not even our fault we get knocked down. It wasn't you guys' fault that your parents got divorced and you had to go through that hard thing, but it was your choice to get back up, right? And to say, I'm going to do the best I can. And now, by grace of God, I can't stop smiling because I see where you men are and the people that you affect and the people that you help and you influence. And you've made me better in so many ways, both of you men. And like the ripple effect that that's going to have for generations and generations that you probably won't see until you're on the other side of earth, and it just, for you guys to make those choices in those pivotal times, man, all props to you guys and mad respect. And man, I love you guys even more, man.
Love you too, bro.
Yeah, I love you, and I really appreciate that. But I also don't want it to seem like we're just, we made all the perfect decisions and made all the right moves, because, we still were trying to grow up, and you only learn some things through experience. So, we both made poor decisions and poor choices, but we were able to learn quickly from those and, see what the better path was. So it hasn't always been this, perfect path of when we're faced with challenges and adversity, we make the right choice every time. It hasn't been.
Growth is never like straight up, it's always a step up, a step down, 3 steps up, 2 steps back. And you got to know that going in, but as long as you keep growing through them, you get to that other side eventually, That's awesome. You guys have mentioned, and we've talked about Zach Homol quite a bit. He's coming on the podcast at some point here in the next couple of weeks. Pretty fired up about that, man. I love Zach. Zach is a man who, outside of my father, has had the biggest impact on my life than any man out there. He just poured into me, changed my marriage, my faith, my habits, just so much about this guy. Can you guys talk what it's been like kind of having him as a mentor, working with him every day at IVB, and kind of the impact he's made on you guys?
Yeah, I'll go first. Just being around Zach, I think just shattered my glass ceilings. I think he does this for a lot of people. Just takes what you think you can do, even if it's a deadlift max or, how much impact you can make in business or anything you think you can do. I'm sitting here like, oh, I'm trying to deadlift 315. He's like, why not 600? Like, just one of those questions. And he's one of those guys that he dreams really well with people. He can take you where you are and just shatter all your glass ceilings and make you feel like you can run through all the walls. And I think he does that great with everyone. And so that was the biggest thing for me. It was just no longer thinking this small mindset, small reach. What can you do? Think way bigger. But not only are you thinking bigger, he takes the action behind it, and he's constantly seeking opportunities. There's opportunity in everything. If you get around him, he's just super savvy. He'll admit he's not the smartest guy. He doesn't have the plan all figured out. But he takes unreal action. He just keeps coming, and he just keeps coming with action. And it really helped me just to see like, okay, there is opportunity in everything that you do. And if you're not capitalizing on that, then you're really wasting your time. So getting around him, that was the number one thing, shattering my glass ceilings and seeing opportunity in every single thing.
That's awesome, man. I can relate to that so much. I'm smiling here. I remember one of my first calls with Zach when I said something to him to the effect of like, man, I need to work. He's like, you need to take a week off, Ty. Like you've been how many weeks in a row have you been going hard, and I'm burning out on all ends and everything's suffering. And I told him I can't take a week off because then I'll get cranky and irritated. And he just said, why do you limit yourself, bro? Like, why are you telling yourself who you are? And then we started to talk through those self-limiting beliefs that I always just prescribed to. And once he freed me of that in my mind, dude, it was like this whole big light bulb that my life could go any direction I chose, that I'm not a prisoner to who I've been told I was, who I believed that I was, who the enemy, told me that I was. And that's amazing, man. I love that, Matt. How about you, Mitch?
Zach has just had an incredible impact on my life. I mean, he married Claire and I. He introduced me to Claire, to my wife. So that's just already a big impact right there. But yeah, like my brother said, I mean, the reason that I moved to Indy is because of Zach. I mean, small town Indiana kids want to move to the big city, and that's Indianapolis for us. But, I was looking at jobs everywhere, but I decided that I wanted to move to Indy because of Iron Valley Barbell and developing, and I wanted to be a part of that community and what they had built. And just, from day one, you just feel this different energy about him. I tell him now that we're, really close and I'd say best friends, that his superpower is transferring energy and conviction to other people to get them to believe in themselves. Like when you're around him, you feel this attractive energy about him. And that's why he's able to create the community that he has. And honestly, he's one big reason why we're even on the phone or on this podcast right now. You may have not even started this podcast if you hadn't had the call with him. So he's just had a tremendous impact on me, not only, just in my business and starting my business. I mean, he was really the main person that gave me the self-belief to be able to make it happen, because he told me, I've got your back, I'll do whatever it takes to help you make this work, but you gotta take the jump. And so that's ultimately what helped me kind of jump off the cliff and go into business, was just having him, and his support behind me, and the other people around me, Claire and my brother as well. But it's hard to even know the extent to the impact that he's had on our lives, because like you said, that ripple effect of one decision, one choice, one relationship has impact for generations. So he's a special guy, and I just love him so much.
And man, I echo all those sentiments. I wouldn't definitely be on the podcast or doing what I'm doing. One of our second or third calls, I remember telling Zach, I have a goal to be out of the bank by 42. I'm 38 now. And so that was 6 years away. I said, I want a 6-year plan. And he started laughing. He goes, sure, bro, we'll do it in under a year. I mean, 9 months later, I quit my job with Zach. And that guy's, I always kind of joke, if aliens invade and they say we have to pick one person to fight their one person, I want Zach, man. I don't even care if the dude doesn't know how to fight. He doesn't know how to lose, and he'll never quit, man. That's who I want to pick a battle, man. But Mitch, you alluded to he married you and Claire, and I love the Twitter romances that are going on here, man. Because I followed Claire for a while too. She's awesome, man, and to see that happen. Can you kind of talk about how you guys met? Recently married, congratulations, beautiful photos, and kind of talk about how married life's going, maybe some best tips for people out there that are in relationships and stuff like that too. We'll call this the love segment of the podcast.
Love segment, I love it. So we met at a brunch spot here in Zionsville where we live now, called Rosie's Diner. And like I said before, we met through Zach and Ash.
Wait, is that where you guys go after leg day every Sunday or Saturday? I see this tradition where there's 20 people at this brunch spot. Is that the brunch spot?
It's one of them. We have a couple. The other one is Flapjacks, and we used to go. There's been many brunch spots over the years. It's from Saturday leg days, but we go to Rosie's primarily after church on Sundays, and that's actually how we met. So Claire was being trained by Ash at the time, and Zach invited me to church with them that day. And then after church, they invited Claire to go out to brunch with us and myself as well. And so we had the opportunity to meet there. And that was right before everything shut down for COVID. So we met for the first time. There really wasn't an interest on my side, just to be honest. She knows this. She knows this. We've communicated this very openly and clearly with others, so I feel comfortable saying it on here. She had a different hairstyle.
Get that part out. I don't know.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I like to be honest and transparent. So she had a different hairstyle going on and whatnot. But yeah, so we met in March of 2020, and that's how we met, through them. And then it would have been 4 months go by, shutdowns and whatnot. And then July 4th is actually what we call our re-meet day. So we re-met again. She had new hairstyle this time. And Zach came up to me in the gym, and he was just like, hey, Mitch, what do you think about Claire? And then he was going over to Claire. Hey, Claire, what do you think about Mitch? Just really trying to set us up. And so I was like, sure, I'll go on a date with her. We'll see what happens. And so she crafted a message, a DM to slide in my DMs with Zach, actually right after the gym that day, and sent me that first message. And now, we're here. But yeah, it's been an incredible journey, lots of ups and downs. I mean, we got married April 8th. So just a couple months ago. And like you said, Zach married us, and it was just honestly a beautiful, beautiful wedding. Claire did such an incredible job planning it. Everything was perfect, and honestly, God showed up for us on our wedding day. So I don't know if you saw that story, and I can go into it if you'd like, but
Tell the story, man. It's a great
tell the story. All right. So yeah, so we planned on getting married. So the 8th is a big day for us. Like that's a very meaningful day because we met on March 8th, 2020. And then we started dating on August 8th, 2020. And then I actually proposed to her on May 8th of 2021. So we had to have our wedding on the 8th. And so we were looking for dates that, a weekend day fell on the 8th to plan our wedding. And so we chose April 8th, and April 8th, or April in Washington, for the people that live there or have been there, know that it's wet, it's cold, it's rainy, it's gray. Like the weather is just not good. But she loves Washington. She really enjoys the Twilight movies, and she's very into those. She was growing up, and there's a wedding scene in Twilight where they get married, and it's in these it's basically in Washington is what it looks like, at least, but I don't think it's actually filmed there. But big trees, like in the woods, in the mountains, and so she had that ideal picture for our wedding as well. So fast forward, we got it planned April 8th. We actually fly out a few days earlier, just to kind of spend some time out there before the wedding and get things set up and whatnot. And so we're out there. I think it's Tuesday morning, and we're looking at the radar, and it looks like rain, 40 degrees, rainy on Friday. But Thursday, 70 and sunny. So Thursday is the day before our wedding. That would have been April 7th. April 8th was the day we actually got married on Friday. So we had everything planned for Friday. We had catering, like rentals, because we had benches, we had flowers, like all these different things that we had rented, plates and things that she had set up, all set for Friday. But we're looking at the weather again, and it's 40 degrees and rainy. And so obviously she wants the perfect weather for our big day. Like, everything else has been perfected down to the detail, but the weather is still out of our control. But if we just switch, we're in control again, and we can have what we want. So Tuesday morning, she decides, along with her mom, that we're going to go ahead and switch the wedding day. And so they're calling caterers and calling all these people. We're calling family, texting everybody, because they're flying in from out of town. Like, hey, when is your flight going to get in? Are you going to be here in time for the Thursday wedding instead of a Friday wedding? Like trying to figure out all these logistics. And while she was figuring that out, I just asked if I could speak to her by ourselves. We were with her family at the time, and I just asked if I could talk alone with her. And when we did, I told her that something just didn't feel right. I was like, this doesn't feel right to switch our wedding day from Friday to Thursday. It feels like we're trying to take too much control, and we're lacking faith. And we kind of sat in that for a moment, and it was very emotional because she felt like I was taking away the perfect day. Like I was ruining that by saying that I think we should still have it on a 40-degree day when it's supposed to rain. But it just something didn't feel right about it for me. And I, looking back, obviously that's God, that's God trying to speak. Even though I can't pinpoint what it is, and it doesn't feel like there's any real reason why we shouldn't. That's why I said to her, and it ended up that one of our friends actually couldn't make it. One of our close friends couldn't make it on Thursday, and we ended up keeping it on Friday. And so we get to fast forward to wedding day, Friday. Weather forecast hasn't changed. We wake up getting ready. It's raining outside. It's cold. It's gray. And we get over to the ceremony site. So we had an Airbnb for our ceremony, and then there was another Airbnb where Zach and Ash were staying, which was right beside it. So the guys were all over at the one place, girls were at the other place. And the weather is still not looking great. so, we continue on. We've even bought umbrellas, went and bought umbrellas so everybody could still sit outside. We're going to make this happen. Doesn't matter what it is, we're still going to do it. And so ceremony's at 1:00, and I walk over to where we're going to get married shortly before 1:00. And it was literally like the sky had just cleared up only above us.
Wow.
The sun was shining so like powerfully, I feel like, or it was so hot that Claire actually got sunburnt on one of her arms on a day in Washington where it's supposed to be 40 degrees and rain and cloudy. So even the caterers later on that day, they were driving the food to our place, and they said, we have no idea how you guys got this in. It was raining our whole trip here, and then when we got in the neighborhood, it just stopped.
Wild, man. That is so wild. Yeah, I remember reading through that my first thought when I hear that and get chills again hearing you tell it is, Jesus's first miracle that he ever performed was at a wedding, at a big feast, when a family ran out of wine. And at that point, they would be dishonored. It'd be a very socially big thing. And his first miracle, and I think he did that for a reason to show us he cares about the little things, right? He cares about like Mitch and Claire's wedding. And if you put that faith and trust in him, he has the power to do that. And that's such a neat thing, man. That's such a cool story. I appreciate you sharing that, man. I want to give one other takeaway there, and this shout out to my wife, who has the longest, most beautiful hair in the entire country and in the entire world. She always says she wants to cut it. I know at some point she'll watch this, and I'm telling you, honey, I always tell her if you cut your hair, I'm gonna get a beer belly just to push back, because I just love her beautiful hair, man. And it's funny to hear you say that about Claire. She got a new haircut. She got the guys. That matters a lot to guys, man. Girls' hair. It's a funny thing, man. But I kind of chuckling to myself. So what was you guys' first date? That's a follow-up question. And then when did you know this is the woman I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with?
Yeah. So our first date, she actually just came over to my apartment and we just talked. I'm not the type of guy, and she's not the type of girl either, to go out to the bar and have a drink or, go out and do the typical things that 24-year-old, well, we were 20, I don't know what age, we must have been 24 at the time. We didn't do the typical things that our people our age do. And so I was like, I don't want to go do those things. You just want to come over to my place and we'll just talk and just get to know each other. And she made it very clear her boundaries of, since she was coming over to my apartment, what would be happening and what wouldn't be happening. You know what I'm talking about. So, and I was very respectful of that. I wasn't looking for that anyways, but yeah, so we had our first date and we talked for probably like 4 hours nonstop. And she felt like she rambled on because she said she was nervous, and she rambles when she's nervous. But honestly, I didn't even think that. It was incredible just to get to know her, and we opened up even about our past, things that we had been through, and shared personal stories right away. So we felt that comfort with each other, and we had a great time. And she didn't think we were going to go on a second date, but I asked her to a second date right after that. So and then yeah, as far as when I knew that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her, people ask us this question, and she has a specific answer of a time. And I don't have a specific time. I view it more of a progression of kind of me seeing her, or me seeing my future with her, just through, first me getting to know her and how comfortable I was with her, and just hearing how she's grown and how she has that mindset to grow into the future and what she wanted for her future. It was a fit for what I wanted as well. And our interests and our values and our priorities were aligned with the type of life that I wanted to live. And so that was a big deal for me out of the gate. And then also when she spent the first day with my family. So I love my family. They can be a bit difficult sometimes, or a bit uncomfortable to be around. And she just went in there to a family get together, got thrown into the the fire basically was with a ton of people. And she was just perfect. She was perfect. She, pushed herself out of her comfort zone. We like to play sports or play games whenever we're with our family, whether it be Jenga, kickball, cornhole, whatever it is. And she was just excited to be involved and be a part of it. And I loved that. And she interacted so well with my family, and they loved her. And that was actually, after that was the time that I told her that I loved her for the first time. And it just progressed from there. The more that I got to see her interact with, the people that I loved, and how she just cared for me and those people in my life. She brought up going to look at rings one day. and that for me, it was like, okay, like I just had to think about it for a second. Like, wait, is this something that I'm ready to do and really want to do? And yes, I didn't have any doubts. And I thought that was a great sign of just, I'm probably rambling now. I know I've been talking for a while, but I just didn't have any doubts when she brought up wanting to go look at rings. It was a 100% yes from me. And that's when I knew, I had that comfort with my decision to continue moving forward.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing. My quick couple takeaways from that is, number one, guys, if you're listening to this, and I know the demographics of my podcast, like 98% guys. So guys, if you're listening to this, you don't have to make a fancy first date. I think that's so cool. You guys just talked and got to know each other and found out what your interests were. I see too many guys that are doing a $200 dinner and trying to lay out the red carpet. Dude, just get to know her. Me and my wife took a 4 or 5 hour walk. That was our first date too, man. I think that's amazing, and I love that. And then a big one for girls, the 2% of girls that might listen to this, which is probably my wife and my mom, so they don't need to hear it. But if any other females stumble across this, I love that she put up boundaries, that Claire kind of mentioned to you, hey, I'm coming to your apartment. My wife did the same thing. And I was dating a few girls at the time in Chicago who were just the opposite, who wanted to use physical first before we got to know each other. And you know what? When you think about who you want to be the mother of your kids, you want them to respect themselves that much. That was so attractive to me, that my wife had these healthy boundaries. She knew who she was, whether it was going to be with me or not, right? Like, she knew who she was. And to me, that was so attractive. And I think any girls that are listening to that out there, that can be a good takeaway, So I appreciate that. This is a perfect moment now to segue down to Matt. And I'm fired up about this, man. Mackenzie's been a previous guest, and Mackenzie's one of my favorite people on earth. There's a funny little story about Mackenzie where we were in engagement groups together. I don't even know if you know this, Matt. And there's a point where we each had about 9,000 or 10,000 followers. And I think I messaged her, can we hop on a call? Or maybe I forget who messaged her, can we hop on a call? So we're going to hop on a call. My thought process going on to this is, dude, Mackenzie's got like 10,000 followers. She knows everything about business. Like, I'm going to learn so much. Like, I'll probably pay her for the time. Her thought process jumping on the call is like, oh, Ty's got 9,000 followers. He knows exactly what he's doing. Within 5 minutes of our first chat, we just both start laughing. We're like, neither of us know what we're doing. We're just like, she's become one of my favorite people on earth. And, I've gotten to spend some time hanging with her. And when we were working out together and I found out that you guys were now a couple, and dude, my heart just burst, man. So tell us a little bit about how that happened. We got a Twitter romance in the streets of Twitter. I'm fired up about it. Give us the lowdown. Have you guys said the L word? Give us some juicy tips. How is St. Louis? I want to know everything, man. Tell the people everything, Matt.
Oh, yeah. And the first thing you asked me right after you kind of figured out the information was, is this just a publicity stunt? Or are you actually dating Mackenzie Smith? And it was hilarious. I remember laughing about that. It was in Vegas with, Jack and Gabe and Joey and those guys. So it was super funny, but yeah, we met actually through Claire. So Claire coming in, Kelly Flynn, who you also have had on, is friends with Mackenzie, and Claire is planning Kelly and Joey's wedding. So she flies out to Arizona to help Kelly, I think, pick out a wedding dress. Mackenzie tags along for that trip. Claire meets Mackenzie, and then next thing you know, comes back to Indiana and is like, hey, maybe you should talk. And she actually ended up jumping on a call with Mitch and I to talk about just business, Twitter, things like that. Mitch and I were both starting our own business, had our own business rolling. So she just wanted to just hear our perspective, get our insight. And so we both jump on a call. And then
before that call, Matt, did you have the light bulb going off? Like, hey, I'm gonna holler, I'm gonna use this as an introduction, or is it just a strictly business thing for you still at that point?
Yeah. So actually, we had followed each other for a while. It'd been like 2 years probably following each other on Twitter, just never engaged, never interact. She had this huge following. I obviously didn't. I was like, oh, no way. Like, I'll never reach out. And going on that first call, I had no expectations. I didn't want to get my hopes up, but obviously, she's an attractive girl. I'm a guy getting on a call. Like, it was never like a limiting thing. Like, maybe there's opportunity there, maybe not. I didn't have the expectation though. So, but we jumped on that first call, and I think Mitch actually ended up leaving the call, and her and I just kept talking. We were talking about training stuff, and I was like, hey, here's my number, if you ever need anything, let me know. And then it just kind of went from there.
That's awesome, man. So you guys kind of form this connection on the call. You start texting back and forth. Then when I saw you in Vegas, had you been in Arizona previous, kind of hanging out with her? Was that the first time you guys had kind of hung out and kind of connected?
Yeah. So we talked about this recently, but it's crazy because I had a trip planned with Joey, Jack, and Gabe to go to Phoenix before I had even jumped on the call and met her or anything. So sure enough, she lives in Phoenix. We go, we're like, okay, we'll plan a day. And that was the first time we had met. The first day I posted that picture on Twitter. We had been FaceTiming a ton, and then finally meet, post that picture, and then we hang out basically every day. I was in Phoenix. She was with us. We were hanging out. And then I come to Vegas to meet you. So there's kind of the timeline there. But, we had been FaceTiming a bunch, but that was the first time that I met her.
It's so cool, man. There's no coincidences, man, that you already had that trip booked and then going out there. That's the coolest thing ever. And then so you guys just spent some time together, I know, in St. Louis too, which is shout out to STL, the Cardinals, go Redbirds. I know you're a Cardinal fan. So a bunch of games there. I used to be a partial season ticket holder back in the day, man. Still try and follow it a little bit. But how was the St. Louis experience? And, it looked like an amazing time. You guys are just out throwing Frisbees in the park, maintaining active lifestyles and just kind of having lots of fun, man.
Yeah, and just to touch back on the coincidence, Claire had actually invited Mackenzie to their wedding before we had even started talking again there. So we got another opportunity to spend 3-4 days together out in Washington at their wedding. But yeah, St. Louis, we planned a 6-week stay in St. Louis. We've only met twice. We've FaceTimed a ton. It's kind of looking back, seemed risky, but at the time I didn't think about that at all. You were just like, oh yeah, let's do it. 6 weeks, here we go. So the St. Louis was great. She basically brought to the table, I feel like, everything I didn't have. Just super consistent, super routine based, like does not miss. And I get the stuff done, but I'm not the most consistent routine, like everything's happening at this time kind of guy. She brought that, and I kind of bring the other end of the spectrum with nothing planned out. I'm just flying by the seam of my pants. So I feel like we really found a balance in the middle of, I kind of said, like, loosen up a little bit, enjoy yourself. And she's like, hey, you need to be organized and have something at least planned. Like, what's for dinner tonight? I'm like, whatever I'm feeling when it rolls around, So we kind of found a balance there in the middle. But, we got adjusted quick to each other. I feel like we got acclimated and became comfortable very quick, and then just started, hitting the gym every morning. And like Mitch talked about earlier, with things just aligning with values, activities. We hit the gym every morning, coming through both in the same space as a business owner on Twitter. We enjoy collaborating with content and ideas and things like that. And then after, the workday is kind of done, there was kind of no question as to what we were going to do. So where's the nearest park? Let's go buy a Frisbee or something, and just get out and start having fun, going on walks. So I think just having so many things that we had in common made it super easy. We just clicked. We both were like, what show are we going to watch, when we're eating dinner or whatever. Just, we both turned on The Office, and we've been grinding it ever since and loved it. So just a lot of things seem to align. So we really connected well, got comfortable very quick. And then it's been great thus far.
It's so awesome, man. I just smile a lot because I think when I hear you describe that, it's describing me and Annie, my wife, perfectly, like to a T, man. Like from day one when I met her, I was so attracted to the fact that she's really organized and like dude, when she says she's going to do it, she's going to do it, and I'm like a dog, bro. Like I wake up and I'm like, what are we chasing today? Let's go do, I'm just happy to be alive. Like I don't plan things. Like even when I hop on first client calls with people, they're like, okay, what's the agenda? I don't know, man. Let's go. Let's figure it out. Like what do you need? They're talking about it. We'll figure it as we go. Like
Yeah.
I'm so by the seat of my pants, and so I was attracted to that quality, and I see where she has helped me now become so much more organized, become so much more like I wouldn't be able to run a business without her influence and her help. But I've seen where I've moved the needle for her too, right? Where she used to be so rigid and really, couldn't maybe let loose and just have some fun every now and then. And it's like that's okay too, like let's go do a couple whiskey shots every now and then and talk about life and have some fun and play I never, have a good time. And so it's cool. I've even seen your influence on her over the last couple of months because Mackenzie's tweets are always like, bro, if you don't go to the gym, you're a piece of trash. Like you're, and now I see like her tweets are coming out like, you got to find a healthy balance. And I'm like, that's Matt. That's my boy Matt right there getting into her, man. So I love to see that, man. Can we tell the people, can we give them, did she come back to Indy with you? Are you guys saying the L word? Where are we at in that relationship? If you'll disclose it for the people, man.
Yeah. So she came back to Indiana. I really ultimately wanted her to see my hometown, see where I'm from. I've always felt like that's a big deal, just kind of see the roots. I've always just imagined, one day going and meeting a girl and bringing her back and showing her like, oh, there's where I went to elementary school, high school. So we came back here for a couple of weeks, met a ton of family, are doing that whole thing. And then, we got some friends coming into town as well, and Joey, things like that. So we're just going to enjoy our time here in Indiana. But yeah, very recently said the L word, big deal. But very excited, I think sure about it, and like you said, like I have influenced her a ton, bringing that to the table as well. I've loved to do that. And I think what Mitch touched on earlier with Claire is her willingness to grow. I think I've been most attracted to that, like willing to grow. The door is open basically for everything to take her life anywhere. And I'm so attracted to that. Like I want to grow. I want to become better. I'm willing to be open, hear what your input, but I'm also going to have input in your life and how you need to grow. Kind of no BS mentality as well there too. So it's been very kind of put me on my path and, just growing together, I guess now it's been incredible.
That's awesome, man. One of the most attractive things I think in another person, and why I tell dads and stuff like that you coach is like, look, your wife's going to love you, whether you weigh 300 pounds or not. She's going to love you probably, but she's going to see how you respect yourself. If you have this growth mindset, like one of the most attractive things to me about my wife is I'll never forget, man. It's like one of our like dates and I showed up to her place. She has this like Harvard study guide up. She's like learning about the way the brain works. And I'm just like, oh, is that a class you're taking? She's like, no, I'm just learning and taking some notes. And I was like, this is the person I want to be with, like somebody who wants to be better tomorrow than they were today. And it's such an attractive thing, man. I love that you guys have found that too. And man, all right, we're going to end the love segment. This was an amazing love segment of the podcast. I appreciate you guys being open and sharing a lot with that, man. I really appreciate it. I want to move on to both you guys' business and kind of promote you guys in a way that anybody listening here, what they could expect if they were to reach out to Mitch or reach out to Matt. And I know personally, shout out to Chris Ray, I love this guy, and many other people I talked to on Twitter that have benefited greatly from you guys' coaching, you guys' mentorship, you guys' guidance. And so somebody listening out there, maybe who's your typical client, maybe you could talk through that and how you help people each day.
Yeah, absolutely. I can go first on this one. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm a financial planner. So I do financial planning and investment management, managing investments for my clients. And then financial planning is kind of a more ambiguous thing for people. They don't necessarily know what that means, but I like to describe it as, helping you with every area of your finances and anything that affects your bottom line. So any area of your life that has a number for it or can have a number applied to it, we're gonna be reviewing that. So I typically work with young people who are either already entrepreneurs or they're interested in transitioning into entrepreneurship. People typically like 20 to 40 age range. The big thing for me is helping people who, no matter where they are in their journey, there's a lot of people in finance that will only work with people who are already wealthy. They already have a lot of money. They're already made it, if you will, because, when you work with people who make a lot of money, you tend to make a lot of money. So that's who they shoot for. But that's not who I'm looking for. I'm looking for the person who is just getting started in their journey, or maybe they have made mistakes along the way, but they're ready to make the changes that they need to make an impact on their family for generations to come. And people who align with that and align with my views on the world tend to be attracted to my message. And so it's less about finances for me and more about just generational impact in the people that I work with.
That's so powerful, man. And I've learned that I can't say the name of the bank or I'll get censored on the podcast, but I worked for the largest retail bank in the whole country for about 5 or 6 years and ran a bank and managed them. They actually had a rule. If you didn't have X amount of money, they weren't talking to you. They just give you an 800 number, right? And I think that's a very common thing in the industry you're in, that, yeah, man, if you're worth X amount, we'll talk to you because then we know we can make X amount of dollars off you. But for you to come in and have a heart like that and just say, man, I don't care where you're at. I'll meet you wherever you are. I'll help. I'll walk with you through this journey. How valuable is that, man? And I think anybody listening to this, man, if you're young, maybe you don't even know anything about personal finance because we're not taught it in school, right? Please reach out to Mitch, man. This guy can, I've heard stories of people who they had 14 subscription services they didn't even know about, and you're like breaking down the budget with them and helping them, and now all of a sudden they got hundreds of extra dollars a month. They can invest, and you're teaching them how to do that and build real wealth that, like you said, will last a lifetime. So those small changes, I'd urge anyone to reach out to Mitch that's listening to this and get some guidance from him. Take a call. I appreciate that.
Let me touch on his service as well a little bit. So his service, obviously he helps me, and I'm obviously very biased, but the number one thing he did for me was, when I was super broke, he was still helping me. And I went on this vacation recently. It was New Year's coming into 2022. I went to Florida down with Joey, and it completely removed the guilt around spending while I was on vacation, because I knew what was going on with my money, my cash flow. I knew what was coming in, what could go out, and it completely removed it. It allowed me to go, be comfortable, enjoy, and have the best experience possible, because I knew what was going on, and I knew I had Mitch in my corner that was going to tell me what was not going on if it wasn't going on. So and the second thing is how you kind of touched on him being super selfless with this. Like you said, there's a lot of guys in the finance world who are in it just to make money for themselves. But I've seen Mitch take a client or a potential client and say, no, you need to save up to this amount of dollars before you decide to work with me, versus, he could have started taking the monthly payment today. They were ready to work with him. And he's like, no, you need to save up to this. That's your emergency savings in case something happens. And then we'll start working together after that. Come back to me. And he was at his brokest. He's starting his business, unsure if the bills are even going to get paid for himself. And he's telling other guys like, hey, no, save up. Don't start paying me yet. Once you hit that dollar, then we can actually make some change together. So it's been incredible to see how he just goes in and truly has a genuine passion for helping and serving other people.
And that's honestly, I don't know if we can do this, but I'm gonna shout out to Alex, my editor. If we can just put a crown over Mitch's head right now and just crown him king, that's literally, bro, the most amazing thing. I appreciate you sharing that. And the financial industry can be a really dark place, right? These people are just all about assets under management because that's how much they're gonna make. And man, for you to say that's just honestly amazing, man. And I think it goes to show even what your first point was, Matt, how you could kind of live guilt-free when you knew you had some boundaries around it that Mitch helped and put in place. I think that applies to like when I'm eating pizza every week, man, I don't feel bad about it, right? I get to enjoy every bite because I have boundaries around what I do throughout the rest of the week. And we put boundaries on our kids. I'm a dad, and we have boundaries for our kids, but adults need the same boundaries. And so for Mitch to be able to give them that kind of guidance and boundaries and ultimately change their life, the way that they view the world, and that you could go on a vacation, have a great time, that's a really powerful thing, man. I really appreciate you guys sharing all that. All right, Matt, now let's get into yours, man. Let's hear about your coaching, brother.
Yeah. So, I'm a fitness and health coach. Typically the client that I work with is this skinny guy looking to put on size. I believe that you attract the person that you are. I was the skinny guy who struggled to put on size.
Wait. You were skinny at one point?
Yeah.
You're just a unit, man. How long ago are you skinny, man?
Yeah, no, I was 160 pounds in high school, 160 to 170, and now I'm currently sitting at like 203. So
yeah, you're just, when we worked out together, I'm like, man, this guy's got muscles growing out of muscles, man. That's impressive.
So yeah, I
All right.
typically help the skinny guy looking to put on size. But the way I justify, or the way I kind of summarize it all is, I'm here to serve you in any capacity I can. I've been lifting since I was 11 years old. I know more about the gym and health than people will ever acquire in their lifetime. I have a true passion for it. I study it all the time. I'm constantly, whether it's social media, books, podcasts, whatever, I'm constantly consuming health, nutrition, anything that is going to serve the human body. I'm constantly consuming that. So really, I'm just here to serve a client in any way I can. And that's what I'm truly passionate about, and I've had clients say, you've changed my life. And there's nothing greater than that for me, just for a client to say, like, Matt, you have truly changed my life, whether it's more confidence to go into a relationship, or, just they feel good about taking their shirt off at the beach. Like, that feeling of just that, even that text, that feeling you get from a text of, Matt, you changed my life. Like, thank you, dude. I know we worked together for a year, but I'm done. But I can confidently say you've changed my life. I'm like, that's what I was here to do. Now go change other people's lives. Like, go help your family, go help those that you love. Like, and that's the number one thing I'm in this for, is just that you've changed my life. Thank you. There's no greater feeling than that for me.
Man, it's so awesome, man. Again, I know people personally from Twitter who have said those things about you, man, and that's just such a testament to you. And I've gotten a chance with this podcast now. I think this is 37. Alex always makes fun of me. I never know what episode we're on. That goes back to the organization stuff, but 37, 38 podcasts, right? And the common theme I hear is what you just alluded to, Matt. The people that are so successful are the people that approach it with that mindset. I just want to help. I just want to help. And then, hey, I'm kind of giving this to God and I want to help. Yeah, I could use the money right now, Mitch. It's just starting out and this guy's trying to pay me, but you know what? I just want to help and get you to the best spot. And man, if I could buy stock in two guys right now, I would love to buy some stock in you guys, because I know that God's going to bless that and honor that where you go when you come at it with that mindset. That's just an amazing thing. And I go back, I'm just honored to know you guys, man. You're just killing life, and it's the coolest thing to see. I think you guys should do a joint coaching thing too, where it's like a fitness and a finance. Come get on Skype calls with the Moore brothers. We'll turn your whole life around, man. Like some kind of package deal, man. that could be a big thing.
I'd say it's coming down the road.
I like it.
Yeah, we've always been interested in wanting to do things together. So I'm sure we will. And as you know, we're going to be starting a podcast here soon. So we'll have that'll be our first test of how well we'll work together. But I just wanted to mention one thing about him. I mean, I know he was talking about my service, but he'll kind of undersell it. What I think the biggest value of his coaching is not actually the fitness tips, the nutrition tips. I tell him all the time that his superpower is his ability to make friends. And that is because he has the ability to connect with people and relate to people, and just be able to build that relationship where a lot of people aren't able to. He builds relationships and makes friends easier than anyone that I've ever been around. And I tell him that all the time. So I think the most value out of working with him is actually the relationship and the encouragement that you're going to receive from him, firing you up. We can all get nutrition and fitness tips from everyone, on Twitter. People are tweeting tips all day, every day. But, the person that you're actually able to connect with and receive energy from, and just be able to step into your life from a new perspective is the main value of his service.
It's so awesome, man. And I think that's a great point you make too, that you drink water or walk. Everybody knows the right stuff to do, right? Like we're 70% obesity just in the US. Well, why is that? A lot of people don't have anybody in their corner. I know I talk to married guys that say they feel like this a lot. Like, my wife doesn't really respect me, my boss, I kind of feel like I'm on autopilot. And to get that one person, maybe like Matt, just in your corner telling you every day, I believe in you, you can do this, text me for accountability, like that can mean all the difference in the world, man. So anybody listening to this, man, give my boy Matt here hop on a call with them, man, he'll change your life too. I appreciate that, dude. I can't believe we've been on this the amount of time we have. It feels like we just started. This tends to happen, but I got like 5 other things I wanted to talk about. Will you guys come back on, or maybe I can come on yours? We can talk about some other stuff, but I end every podcast with what I call rapid fire questions. So are you guys cool? We're going to just rapid fire. First thing I say, just fire it out. We'll go Mitch first because he's older, and then down to Matt, and we'll see the answers. I'm kind of very interested in some of these. All right. Rapid fire. Who wins in you two right now? A deadlift 1 rep max and a 1 mile sprint. Who's going to win in both of those?
I win both of those easy. I mean, it's already proven. I have the higher deadlift max to begin with, so I'll definitely win that. And he just said he's 203, so he's pretty heavy right now. I don't see a mile rate. I mean, just to be completely honest, neither of us do cardio very well. but I got him in both.
Matt, you got an answer for that?
I don't think he's got me. 203. I got more mass. We'll see coming up soon on the deadlift max. We're going to be retesting at the end of July at his seminar. So we'll see on that. And yeah, the only cardio I do is really deadlift reps over 2. So I don't know about the mile sprint.
I like that, man. You guys should live stream the deadlift competition, man. Throw that up on YouTube or something. The More Brother Challenge. We can hype this up on Twitter, man. Let me know. We'll make it a thing, you know? I like that. What is both you guys' favorite book of all time, or the book that's maybe been the most impactful to you guys?
Mine is The Slight Edge. It's by, I think Jeff Olson is his name. I'm not sure what the author is off the top of my head, but that was the first book that I read actually after my parents got divorced and I decided to start diving into self-development. That's the first book that I read from cover to cover. And it's just about the small actions that we choose to do every day that compound over time. It just talks about how success is not this one big event that just happens out of nowhere. It's really by showing up and doing the things daily that are easy to overlook. You know, if we don't eat the healthy meal today, are we going to get fat tomorrow? Probably not. But if we don't eat the healthy meal over 2 years, there we are. So yeah, that's my favorite for sure.
That's it. I've heard that a couple other times on the podcast, man. Yeah, I need to read that book. It's actually on my list to order. I appreciate that, man. Matt, what do you got, brother?
My book would have to be the Happiness Advantage by Shauna Core. I went through a time where I was dealing with severe anxiety to the point where, sometimes I had to pull my car over to the side of the road, stop driving, get out and just puke. I mean, I just didn't know, just super anxious about everything. And I turned to Mitch in that time, we talked through it and he found this guy on YouTube. And this guy was like, read this book. And it's just about happiness. And I think it really changed a lot for me because I always viewed happiness as, once I get that amount of money, happy. Once I get the car, happy. Once I get the relationship, happy. And it changed it to where happiness fuels you getting these things. Like if you truly want to be successful, you got to be happy with the process. So, and it dives into just how to be happy. One big thing that's it for me is putting something on the calendar that you're excited about, whether it's a podcast or a trip or, just a day planned with Mitch or something like that, or just having something that you can look forward to. So, if things are going bad in a day, like, okay, I'm good because I got a day with Mitch planned tomorrow that I can be super excited about. So Happiness Advantage by Shauna Core.
I love that, man. That's cool. Yeah, happiness is definitely a choice. They don't tell us that, but if you have that mindset of I'll be happy when, you will never be happy, man. I've talked to some of the richest people on the planet that are the most miserable people, and they still think, well, when I get the yacht, when I get the private jet, when if you ain't happy driving a Prius or a Toyota, you're not going to be happy when you get the Benz. I promise. It'll be shiny. You'll feel good for a week, and then you won't, man. It's just a fact. I love that, man. Thanks. All right, I want to know this one. This is kind of a funny one. Surprising thing or one like really quick short story about Zach Homol from working at his gym that either of you guys can share. And maybe keep it PG-13 knowing Zach. Probably some stories we can't share.
One story I have is Zach has a background in everything, if you don't know. He's got a background in construction, firefighting. I mean, the dude has a background in everything. And so there was a deadlift bar and it was broke. So the end of the bar was missing. The pin had come out that keeps the end of the bar together intact. And so I'm trying to fix it. And he comes in one day and he's like, oh, don't worry. My background with construction, Shirley will be able to take care of this. So at IVB, you know, there's like just a tub of tools, just random tools that he's just, I assume, collected over the years. And so he goes and just grabs every single tool out of this tub, comes and just throws them on the ground. And he's like, all right, let's figure it out. And just starts beating on this thing with everything he can, from grabbing it with pliers to hitting it with the hammer. It was just hilarious because he was just super serious. I got the background in the construction, don't worry. And I'm like, okay, we got this. He goes and just drops every tool. And I'm like, I don't know if we got this.
Man, that's hilarious. That's pretty funny. Yeah, that can give you that sense of belief that okay, sure, we'll figure it out, man. If he's there, you can do it. Right? That's funny. Mitch, you got one for us?
Oh man, I struggle to come up with a specific story. But I mean, him in the gym, he just cracks me up, man. That's him in life. Just when you hang out with him, just outside of just when he's talking business and personal development, all this stuff, he's such an interesting, funny guy. But I don't know. I struggle to come up with a specific story. I think that the main takeaway from him specifically in the gym is that the answer to everything is just get stronger. Like if I would fail a deadlift, I'd fail a deadlift rep. He'd be like, you're just not strong enough. He'd be like, your deadlift sucks. That's what he would say to me. So it's just like he, you know, when he does have this ability to just help people believe themselves so much, but when you're able to connect with him just as like on a friend level, he's giving you shit just like everybody else, just like one of the guys. And, you know, that also continues to push you. So, yeah, I love him.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. All right, this one I'm interested in. For $100,000 today, and Mitch, you being a financial planner, interested to see this. Would you guys give up Twitter and you can never have another Twitter account? You can never log in again. For $100K today, you can never have Twitter or any other social media platform outside of that.
Not a chance.
How about 250?
I still don't think so.
500K.
I still don't think so.
$6 million.
You could give me any amount of money, and I don't think that I would go get off of it, because it's not all about the money. I mean, you know, it for me, the reason why I chose financial planning as my profession, I say one big reason. There's a few reasons, but one big reason is just the ability for me to build one-on-one relationships and feel like I'm truly making an impact in other people's lives. I mean, that's where my fulfillment comes from. And so, you know, if I had all the money, great, you know, then I wouldn't have to work. I wouldn't have to worry about, you know, where getting another client or whatever. Then I'd just be able to actually truly focus, you know, and just how I could help anybody, you know, like, the stress of running the business and all that stuff goes away at that point. But I don't think that I would get off of social media because I have the ability to connect and impact there.
I feel the same way, man. There's not a number you could put on it. I think at this point I've prayed with like over 1,000 people in my Twitter DMs, just hopped on quick call messages, just shoot them a video and stuff. And that, to me, that's not, you couldn't give me $100 million to make up for that, you know, like, so I feel the same way about that, man. That's cool. I'm always interested to ask people that. I've had a couple people just snap, I'll take it, you know, but like those people are kind of around that. All right. Well, guys, I'm out of water. We might have set a record on this podcast for the most amount of water drank by three men on an hour plus podcast. And I got to pee really bad, but I do appreciate you guys coming on here so much, man. I literally love you guys from the bottom of my heart. You know, I get to come to Purdue actually in a few months. I don't know if you guys will still be there, but I'm gonna shoot you the dates. My wife has been honored there and speaking at guest lecturing, and so I'll have a few hours every day. Maybe I can take my rental car and come hang out at IVB and hang out with you guys, man. I love you guys, and thanks for coming on, man. Any last words to the people?
I would just say, if you're wanting to start a business, wanting to do anything, change your body, change your mind, change your life, just step into the dark and figure it out, because that's what we're all doing with this whole business. I know Mitch said earlier, you know, we kind of seem maybe like we have it all figured out. We don't. We definitely don't. We're taking the next decision one step at a time, stepping into the dark and just figuring it out as we go. So whatever it is, just believe in yourself, take the step and figure it out.
Yeah, take action would be my first answer as well. You learn best from experience. And you can read all the books, listen to all the podcasts, but until you actually get in the game, you don't really understand what's going on and how it works. So since he took that one, my next one would just be find community and find connection with other people, whether it just be sending that DM and hopping on a call with any of us. I mean, we're available. We make time available on our calendars to talk to anybody and everybody. And so it would just be find community and connection with like-minded people, because our environment shapes everything.
Man, that was great wisdom from you two, and I would expect nothing less than we'll end on that beautiful note. It's never been easier and never been harder to find community. Everybody's so kind of in their own world now with their phone and their TV and all this stuff, but you have to go out and actively seek it. But if you do, it's very easy to find, right? You can go on social media, follow the right people like you two, and and we're going to link everything that Matt and Mitch do below this podcast. So check out everything from how to get in touch with them, their Twitter profiles, all this stuff will be below. So anybody listening to this, man, check them out. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I really appreciate the Moore brothers coming on, making us all better. I love you guys very much. This has been Tyrompers No Limit Podcast episode, either 37 or 38. I'll figure it out when it comes out. And go bless somebody else today. Go be kind to yourself, especially. Let's go change the world, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.